Hey, hey, hey! Sorry, I should probably stop making that noise. It's probably annoying, and I think I promised you to stop being annoying. Okay, I'll work on that. So, what I have here is a contour kit, which means I'm going to cheat today, okay? But I'm going to tell you why and how I use colors to contour so that if you don't have one of these, you can figure out how to contour still, okay? So I have a handy dandy contour and highlight brush, okay? And remember, two things. You contour to hide. So we are going to do dark to create shadows, right? Shadows are dark. And that's going to help things sink in, because where there's shadows, there's a divot. And then we're going to highlight to bring things out. So whatever's brightest is going to pop off of our skin. Okay? So we're going to contour, then we're going to highlight, and then we're going to highlight again. I'm going to call it lighten. The middle step's going to actually be called lighten. And then we're going to highlight. So for me, I've got this dark color here. Generally, the idea is that you contour with 1 to 2 shades lighter than your, 1 to 2 shades darker than your skin tone. And we're going to contour, I've got a cheater here, we're going to contour in all of the places on this lady's face, okay? So, I'm going to start with my cheeks. I want to give myself some cheekbone definition. So I'm going to start here at my ear. I'm going to come in towards my mouth, but I'm going to stop before I get to this little line here, okay? This imaginary line coming down on my face is where I'm going to stop. If you make the kissy face, you see the natural indent. We're just going to follow that shadow line to our ear. So I'm going to start from my ear because I want it to be darkest here. And I'm going to come down towards my mouth, but I'm going to stop halfway through. I'm going to stop where that imaginary line is, okay? And I'm not going to blend until the end so that you guys can see where I put all these marks, okay? Also, do you guys see the natural shadow of my chin? I'm going to come underneath of my chin bone, right here on the edge, and I'm just going to darken that shadow. And then I don't know if you can see it, but that's going to sink my chin on this side. It sinks my chin in. So this one extends that shadow and sinks my chin in. So we're creating a shadow right here. Okay? Alright. My 5 head needs to become a 4 head. So we're going to shadow the top of the forehead here and shorten the forehead. It's going to make it appear that it rounds a little sooner. Please excuse the dog barking. I'm not sure what's over there. Somebody might be outside. Okay, so forehead, cheekbone, jawline. I'm also going to contour the inside of my nose. Okay, so right here. It's a little dark for a contour by your nose, but we'll blend. Ooh, that's really dark. Too much product. It's okay. So, and that's going to create a shadow on that side of the nose. I don't know if you guys can see the difference right there. You see that? Create that shadow. So, here, 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 here. And what you want to do is, if you want this lip to look poutier, we're going to do underneath the lip. Clean that line up. Okay. Alright, are we with me so far? You can create a ring around the nose. That'll sink that nose down. Alright, you all see that? See the difference in dimension? We will blend, don't worry. Okay, so let's quickly do the other side. Forehead. Make it look one continuous right there. A cheek. Jawline. side of my nose. And we already did the ring around my nose and under here. Okay? Can you all see that? Hope so. Okay? So that is the contour. If you want to lighten, I have a lightening side of my brush here. See the shape of that? And I've got a shade here that's supposed to be about 1 or 2 shades lighter than my skin tone. Okay? And that's going to go right here on my forehead. It's going to go on the bridge of my nose. It's going to go under my eye. I'm going to make it like a triangle here. You all see that triangle I'm going to make? And then I'm going to fill it in a little. Make my other triangle. Bring it all the way out. I don't want sunken eyes. I want to bring those eyes out. And then I'm going to go underneath of this contour. That's going to just kind of accentuate that contour a little more. Not that we need help with that. We need to blend it. That's what we need to do. Okay? And then I'm going to do my brow. I'm going to make that bone kind of pop out. I'm going to make that bone pop out right there. And my chin. Bring that chin out. Helps bring that line down. And I keep it bow. See if we can change the coloring a little bit. Maybe you can see it better. Does that help? Can you see those contour spots? Okay. So that is your contour. We will highlight when I'm all done. So what I want to do is I'm going to blend one side and I'm not going to blend the other, okay? When you blend up, okay? Blend up into small, little tiny circles. You want to go against gravity and blend up. Here, though, you are going to blend down into your neck. Blend down. Blend, 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 blend. And here, blend up. Okay? So I blend half my face. Blend, 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 blend. It's a little bit more sensitive. A little bit smaller area. Okay? So that is pretty much blended. Okay? Now I'm going to teach you something that I like to do. I'm a cheater. And I practically always put bronzer on. Okay, and bronzer, I'm going to use a puff brush. And I use Sunset, which is the lightest shade of bronzer, but I happen to be pasty white all the time. So, my bronzer here. When you apply bronzer, you need to do it in the shape of a 3 or in the shape of an E. Okay, so what I mean by that is pretty much exactly where we contoured is where we want to put our bronzer. Anywhere that the sun is going to hit. So you can lightly dust the top of your nose, you can lightly dust the top of your chin, but we also just highlighted those to bring them out, so we don't want to bronze them too much. So we're going to stick to this 3 motion. But because I contoured over here, and I contoured over here, what is a bronzer going to help me do? Well, bronzer is going to kind of give you more of a glow rather than a shadowy definition. So if I really want a high definition, I take my bronzer and I do that shape right over top of my contour, and I blend my contour with my bronzer. So then I soften it with my bronzer, but I get a harder contour. Okay? So that's this side. You see that? It softened my but it's a harder contour. And this is what it looks like if you don't blend your your contour first, okay? So, unblended or blended and unblended with the bronzer blending. that is a personal preference. I tend to like the harder contour. That's why I contoured in the first place. So then that gives me that sharper contour, but it still softens it, okay? And then of course you can, oh, lost my brush. Of course you can always buffer down into your neck. Extend that bronze a little bit, okay? So then, while we are on our face, let's talk blush. Picked up Seductive, so Seductive's going on our face. And I have what's called a blusher brush. It's just a smaller, it's almost like a puff brush, only it's smaller. It helps me become a little bit more precise. I'm what I like to call a messy blusher, but I'm getting better. So what I've learned is that the closer you get to your nose, the worse that the red looks. So you want to stay farther back. It's better to have to come in with your blush than it is to try and get rid of it once it's here. So I'm just going to put a very little bit on my brush. That might be too much, but that's okay. And I'm going to start back here on the back of my cheek. You see where my eyebrow comes down? That's where I'm going to start because I don't want all my color here. I want my color more back here. So I'm going to start here with a small, light, circular motion. I'm going to put it on, and then I'm going to work my way forward. And then if you make, for me it's this face. Right here's the apple of my cheek. That's where I want my blush to kind of end. I don't want to be any closer than that. For some people it's a scowl face. For me it doesn't work. The whole cheek's the scowl face. So just, you have to just practice. So start here, you want all that color back here, and then work your way to that apple. Okay? Of course you can then blend it. I like to blend with my bronzer brush. It kind of softens it for me, and I already have a little bronze on there. It kind of browns that blush and blends it in. Okay? So blush just gives you a little bit of color if color is what you're looking for. Some people don't like blush, but when we put foundation on, we take the red out and we put blush on because that's where we actually want the red to kind of make our cheeks look a little rosy. Alright? If you ladies have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments section. This one was a long video, and I'm sorry for that, but we covered 3 different topics with this. And hopefully you got something out of it. I will talk to you all later, and I look forward to seeing what you learned.